Okay, hello everyone. So before I start with my report, I want you to greet a happy morning. Okay, good morning Ma'am Abaw and good morning to my beautiful and handsome classmates, the MS General Science. Okay, so because of the unexpected pandemic about the COVID-19, I was not able to report in our class about the circulatory system. But now I will be going to discuss to you by this video, and I hope you will learn and I can impart some of my knowledge about the circulatory system. So again, I will be going to discuss to you one of the many systems in our body, which is about circulatory system. Okay, so let's talk about circulatory system. Okay, so when we say circulatory system, it is a system that is responsible for transporting materials throughout the entire body. Okay, so it transport nutrients, water, and oxygen to our billions of body cells and carries wastes such as carbon dioxide that body cells produce. In short, circulatory system is a transport system in our body. Okay, so it is an amazing highway that travels throughout the entire body, connecting all the body cells. So without circulatory system, all the nutrients, including the water and the oxygen, cannot transport in our different body cells as well as the other systems in our body. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so circulatory system is composed of these different kinds of components with some of the organs that includes sa aton nga circulatory system, which is of course the heart, the blood, the vessels. So we have here the vessels. We have three: arteries, veins, and capillaries. So later, I will discuss to you one by one what is this a heart, blood, and vessels and their functions in circulatory system. Okay, let's continue. Okay, this one. Okay, so we have here the organization of cardiovascular system. So, a closed system with two circuits. Again, circulatory system is a closed system with two circuits. So, the first circuit here is a systemic circuit. So, when we say systemic circuit, oxygenated blood leaves the heart through the aorta and returns to the heart through systemic veins. While the pulmonary circuit is that the oxygenated blood leaves the heart through the pulmonary arteries and return to the heart through the pulmonary veins. Okay, so as you look at the picture, so we have here the pulmonary circulations here. So we have here the pulmonary circulations, and we have here also the systemic circulation below. So from for the pulmonary circulation, as you can see, we have here the deoxygenated blood leaves the heart through the right through the pulmonary arteries, and it will go to the lungs for oxygenation. On the other hand, here the systemic circulation, wherein the oxygenated blood that leaves from the heart through the aorta, okay, and returns the heart through what we call the systemic veins. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, this one. So circulatory system. So which gases are transported to and from the body cells by the blood flowing the circulatory system? So which gases? Is it carbon dioxide or the oxygen? Yes, so the answer here is the oxygen. So oxygen is a gas needed for respiration, and it is transported to the body cells because the gas or the gases that needed for the body and needed by the blood in order to circulate in our body kinahanglan nga oxygenated na sa. So we need here an oxygen, a gases called oxygen. Okay? Okay, so let's continue. Okay, this one. So circulatory system carries two types of blood. Again, circulatory system carries two types of blood. So it carries here oxygen-rich blood. Okay, it carries oxygen-rich blood, and it also carries oxygen-poor blood. Okay, so when we say here oxygen-rich blood, these are the blood that traveling to the body cells. It is also high in oxygen content and low carbon dioxide content. Alright, so when we say naman oxygenated or oxygen-poor blood, these are the blood that traveling away from the body cells. It has a low oxygen and it high in carbon dioxide content. Okay, again, I would like to emphasize that the blood traveling to the body cells is only the oxygen-rich blood or the oxygenated blood. Okay, while the oxygen-poor blood or what we call deoxygenated blood, these are blood traveling away from the body cells. And so the arrangement of the circulatory system means that these two types of blood do not mix. Hindi mo silingon nga ang aton nga blood naghalo-halo na sa aton lawas. It is the combination of the oxygen rich and oxygen poor blood. But the arrangement in our circulatory system, these two types of bloods do not mix, meaning they are separated. Okay? Okay, so let's continue. Okay, this one. So let's go to one of the major organs in circulatory system, which is the heart. Okay, so when we say the heart, of course, tug, 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 lub, dub, lub, dub, lub, dub. This is the heart. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so our heart here, I don't have a heart anymore. Okay, so wait a minute. Okay, our heart is the organ at the center of the circulatory system. Okay, so it pumps. So when we say, okay, this one, look at the picture. So this one is the heart. Heart. This is the organ at the center of the circulatory system, and it pumps. Lub, dub, lub, dub, lub, dub. It pumps blood around the body. So this heart is a muscular organ composed of cardiac muscle. Okay? And about the size of a closed fist. Just like this. So kita nyo dyan? Diyan inumul ko. This is just like a fist. And this is just like the size of our heart. Okay, just like this. Dako galing akong fist. Okay, so this is the size of our heart. So it is also a weight less than a pound. Meaning, hindi siya ganon kabugat. Okay, and it is located within the thoracic cavity. Okay, I think here, diba, at the upper portion of our chest, from the clavicle here, I think on the third ribs, basta dala na siya. Okay, it is flanked on either side by the lungs. Okay, so that is our heart. Okay, this one. Let's go to the what's this? So inside the heart, okay, wait a minute. Inside the heart is divided into two sections so that the two types of blood, the oxygen-rich blood and the oxygen-poor blood, are kept apart. So as you can see in the picture, okay, a heart is divided into two. So here in the right side of the heart, the color blue one, this is an oxygen per blood. Ara dira, oxygen per blood, or meaning those that bloods that present in our right side of the heart are those blood that wala pang oxygen or oxygen poor, or what we call deoxygenated blood. While on the left side of the heart, this one, okay, the left side of the heart are those blood which is oxygen rich blood, or that is the blood that is already oxygenated and ready to distribute to our body cells. Okay? Alright, so let's continue. Okay, this one. So the heart structures. So this is the heart structure. So our heart has a coverings, or we have here a heart coverings, and the coverings of the heart is what we called pericardium. So as you can see in the picture, this white here nga ari diri nga nagatabon or naga-covered sa aton nga heart is what we called pericardium. And this pericardium is a double-walled sac around the heart. So double siya. Double siya. And it protects the heart and anchors it to surrounding structures. And of course, this pericardium produces a lubricating fluid. Okay? It produces lubricating fluid to create a frictionless environment. And we have here this one. As you can see here in the picture, yes, so this one is what we call this lubricating fluid that the pericardium is being produced. And I want you to know that if this pericardium is damaged and it flamed, it is called pericarditis. Again, pericarditis are inflammation of the pericardium. Okay, again, before I go to the next page, pericardium is the heart coverings, the one that covers the heart. Okay? Alright, so let's move. Okay, this one. So we have here two kinds of pericardium. We have the visceral pericardium and the parietal pericardium. So in a pericardium or in a covering, so the innermost layer is what we call the visceral pericardium. Ang dito sa sulod-sulod gamay, it covering. And of course, on the top layer ng ara sagwa is what we called the parietal pericardium. So in short, since visceral pericardium is the innermost, it is directly onto the heart. Malapit siya sa heart. And the contrary, parietal pericardium, kaya hara siya sa top, hara siya sa gwa, medyo malayo-layo siya gamay sa heart. Okay, because this layer, the parietal pericardium, is the layer on top of the visceral pericardium. Kung ari diri ang visceral pericardium nagkatapik sa heart as a covering, ang ara sa top is what we called the parietal pericardium. Okay? Let's move. Okay, this one. Okay, let's go to the heart walls. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so that makita. Alright, so when we say their heart walls, we have our heart is composed of different walls. So may mga layer na siya da. So the first layer here is the epicardium. So as you can see here is the epicardium. Ang ara sa gwa. Okay, this is the outermost layer. The outermost layer, and of course, fat to cushion to the heart. So ara siya sa gwa. Hindi man sa gwa, but the outermost layers ang aton nga heart. And then the middle layer here is what we call the myocardium. Okay, here. So the middle layer is the myocardium, and this is also called the muscle of the heart. Again, myocardium, amo na siya ang muscle sang aton nga tagipusoon. Okay, sa aton nga heart. Okay, it is strong and thick, meaning madakmol siya, and it is composed of spontaneous contracting cardiac muscle fibers. It can conduct also electricity like nerves, and its blood supply comes from the coronary arteries. And the last layer here is what we call the pericardium. The last layer is the pericardium. So here, this one is the pericardium, the innermost layer of the heart. So this endocardium is very thin and very smooth, and this endocardium is stretches as the heart pumps. Kung ang ato na nga heart naga-pumps as love-dub, 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 si endocardium naga-stretch man na siya dito sa sulod sa aton nga heart. Okay? Yes. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to the next page. Okay, this one. So the right and the left side of the heart are separated by a septum or wall. So a septum prevents the mixing of blood-rich and oxygen-poor blood. So it means ang aton nga heart kuno is being separated of what we call septum. Kung muni siya ang aton nga heart, okay, example lang ni siya. Okay, kung muni siya ang aton nga heart, ang diri sa tunga niya ho nga naga-separate sa duwa naton ka heart is what we call the septum. Okay? The septum. Okay, this one. Wait a minute. This is what we call the septum. Okay, so on each side of the septum are two chambers. So the upper chamber, and which receives the blood, and it is called the atrium. And we have here the lower chambers. We have the what we call this, ventricle, and it pumps blood out of the heart. Okay, wait a minute. So look at this one. Okay. Okay, wait. So again, drawing ko na lang ang heart para maintindihan ka. Okay, so this is, okay, wait. Wait a minute. Aba, hindi yun na ma-iris. Okay, so this one is our heart. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, look at here. So, kung di amo ni siya ang aton nga heart, supposedly this is our heart. Okay. Ang aton nga heart is, naman tadya akong drawing kalain. Wait a minute. Okay, so supposedly this is our heart. Okay, heart na siya naton. And these two heart is separated of what we call septum, meaning amo ni siya ang aton nga septum. Okay, septum. So septum are the one that separated the left and the right side sang aton nga heart. Again, this is the septum. So on the right side of the heart, okay, wait a minute. Okay, on each side of the septum are two chambers. We have here the upper chamber and the lower chamber. So this one is the upper chamber, ang ari sa ibabaw, of course. Ang ara sa ubos is the lower chamber. and the upper chamber receives blood is the atrium. Okay? So, sa aton nga upper chamber is what we call the atrium. Ag sa aton nga lower chamber is what we call the ventricle. And this ventricle pumps the blood out of the heart. Siya ang nagapump sa blood para magwa sa aton nga blood. While on the other hand, the atrium, sila ang nag-receive sa blood halin sa aton nga body paadto sa heart for what? Oh, muna sa gani. Okay, again. All right, wait a minute. Okay. Okay, again, liwaton ko. Alright, wait a minute. Okay. So again, ang aton nga heart is separated by a septum or wall. So the septum prevents the mixing of oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood. So on each side of the septum are two chambers. So sa upper chambers ang aton nga heart is what we call the atrium, and it receives blood. Ang sa lower chambers ang aton nga heart is what we call the ventricle, and it pumps blood out of heart. Okay? So let's continue. Okay, this one. Oh, ari na sana drawing pa ko. Gali sana lipat ako. Okay, so aton nga heart has 4 chambers. So we have here, okay, wait a minute. We have here the right atrium and the left atrium. Okay, the upper chambers, the right and the left atrium. And again, it is separated by a septum. On the other hand, sa aton nga lower chambers, we have 2 ventricles here, lower chambers, the left ventricle also and the right ventricles. And it is separated by interventricular septum. Oh, may tawag gali sa kada septum. Again, ang nag-separate sa 2 chambers sa left and the right atrium are interatrial septum. Ang nag-separate sa 2 ka lower chambers, the right and the left ventricles, is what we call interventricular septum. Okay? Let's go. Okay, this one. Oh, look at these pictures. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so look at these pictures. So these are the anterior view of the 4 chambers. Okay, so we have here the right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, and the left ventricle. Okay, this one. This is the posterior view. Okay, amo gali ni ang aton nga heart. Just like a fist. Okay, so this one. This is the internal view sa aton nga heart. So as you can see, ang apat naton ka chambers inside internal view. Okay, so this one. Okay, guys, the chambers of the heart have 4 different functions. Okay, the chambers of the heart have 4 different functions. So we have here, let's start with the atria. So the atria collect blood that enters the heart. So ang aton to kagaina nga what you call this? Right atria and the left atrium, sila ang naga-collect sang blood nga naga-enter sa aton nga heart. Okay? So, diin gahalin ang blood nga ila gina-collect. So, this one, ang aton nga right atrium, gina-collect niya ang blood from the body. From the body. Kag amo na sa nagasulod sa heart. While ang left atrium naman, gina-collect niya ang blood nga naghalin sa lungs. Kag ang blood nga ini nga naghalin sa lungs is already an oxygenated blood. Okay? Again, liwaton ko. Ang right atrium naton, kina-collect niya ang blood that enters the heart. Those blood are deoxygenated blood, meaning hindi pa siya oxygenized, hindi pa siya oxygenated blood. Okay. While the left atrium, kinakolekt niya ang blood nga halin sa lungs, and those blood is already oxygenated blood. Okay? Okay. So, let's go to the ventricles. So, the lower chamber, which is the ventricle, these are uh, pump blood. So, again, wait a minute. Ventricles pump blood out of the heart. Ang function ni ventricles, siya ang nagapump it blood away o pagwa sa aton nga heart. So, let's discuss the right. Ang right anay nga ventricle. Okay, ang right nga ventricle. So, this one, wait a minute. Okay. Kundi amo ni siya ang aton nga heart. Na naman ta jakon na panaan wala na sulat. wait. Okay, ari. Okay, kundi amo ni siya ang aton nga heart. So we have here 4 chambers. So this one is the right atrium and the left atrium, and this one is the left ventricle, right ventricle, and this one is the left ventricle. Hindi makita. Paano na siya man? Okay, wait a minute. Oh, what? Hindi man makita akong nga whiteboard. My God. Okay, paano ko siya bala ma-explain? Okay, this one. Okay. So, this is aton, oh my God. Wait. So, kundi amo na siya na ang aton nga heart. May 4 kita di ka chambers. This is the right atrium, the left atrium, and this is the right ventricle, and we have here the left ventricle. Okay, so tapos na ta sa atrium kagay naging discuss ko, nahambal ko ang suliton ko anay. Ang right atrium, sila ang ga-collect it blood from the body. Kag ang gina-collect nila nga blood is not unoxygenated blood, meaning ang gina-collect nila nga blood is deoxygenated blood. While the left atrium, ang gina-collect nila nga blood is halin sa aton nga lungs, and those blood is already oxygenated. Okay? So let's talk about the ventricles. So ventricles, alam na natin nga it is the lower chambers of the heart. So let's talk about the right ventricles. So right ventricles, sila ang nagapump it blood out of the heart. Saan pupunta yung blood na pinapump nila? Dito makadto sa aton nga lungs for oxygenation. Okay. While diri sa aton nga left ventricle, ginapump niya ang blood out of the heart para ma-distribute na sa aton nga body. Ginapump niya pakadto sa aton nga aorta, which is the major vein sa aton nga heart. Ang aorta na ang ma-distribute sa aton nga mga body cells. Okay? So that is the work of the 4 chambers ng aton nga heart. Okay, let's move. Okay, this one. Okay, the heart structures. Okay, so our heart has a valves. Okay, heart valves permit the blood in one direction. Okay, so ang aton nga heart may ara nga valves, and these valves prevent the backflow of the blood. Muna ang function sa mga valves nga ara sa aton nga heart, para ang blood nga ato didto nga naga-circulate sa aton nga heart hindi magbalik-balik, hindi mag-blood mag-backward bala, hindi mag-backflow. Kumbaga kun ara na siya sa left ventricle ang blood, hindi na siya magbalik to pababo sa upper chambers nga ulihin niya nga halinan. Okay, again, heart valves permit flow of blood in one direction. In short, it prevents the backflow of the blood. Okay? It keeps the blood flow in a correct direction. And we have here the AV valves. This AV valves is what we call the atrioventricular valves. Okay, wait a minute. Again, the AV valves is also called as atrioventricular valve. And these valves, AV valves, divide into atria and ventricles and prevent the backflow of blood into atria when ventricles contract. As what I said, bisa naga-contract ang ventricles kay ang dugo is from the right, kay ang blood nga nag-enter ang blood nga nag-enter sa aton nga heart is from the right atrium to the left ventricle. And even though the ventricle is contract, these AV valves prevent the backflow nga magbalik ang blood pabalik naman sa right atrium. Okay, so we have here two kinds of AV valves. We have here the bicuspid valve and the tricuspid valve. Okay, so when we say bicuspid valve, it is also called mitral valve. And it is between the left atria and the left ventricle. So kung amo ni siya ang heart naton, kundi ari diri ho na do may tubo-tubo na siya nga gamay kay do ining valves nga nimo ni sila ang alagyan sang blood from one chamber to another. So in this one kung nag-enter na di ang blood naton sa aton nga right atrium, makadto na siya diri sa aton nga right ventricle gali, makadto ni siya sa aton nga right ventricle, maagi ni siya sa bicuspid valve or mitral valve. So again, it is a valve between the left atrium and the left ventricle. Doon sala man ako ng explanation. Okay. Repeat. Repeat. Again, kay medyo na-confuse ako gamay. Again, ang bicuspid valve gali diri na saya sa piyak nga heart. Nalipat ako. Sorry gitana. Okay, this one. So this one is the left atrium and we have here the left ventricle. Okay, this bicuspid valve, amo ni siya ang alagyan sang dugo nga halin sa left atrium paadto sa left ventricle. That is bicuspid valve and prevents the backflow of the blood nga ara na sa left ventricle nga magbalik pa siya liwat didto sa left atrium. While the tricuspid valve is between the right atria and the right ventricle. Okay, this one. Wait a minute. Okay. Budlay kita na mag-drawing. Okay, wait a minute. So this is the right atrium. No. Wait a minute. Wait. So this is, okay, wait. The right atrium, the left atrium. So this one is, right ventricle and this one is the left ventricle. So suliton ko para mag-clear pagid ang bicuspid valve. This is between the left atria and the left ventricle. Amo na siya di ang alagyan sa dugo from left atrium to left ventricle, while ang right atrium to right ventricle ang alagyan dira nga valve nga dira is the tricuspid valve. Okay? Alright, tani naintindihan ninyo guys. Okay. So, this one. Let's continue. Okay. So, we have here the chordae tendineae. This is a tiny white cords that anchor the valves to the walls of the ventricle. Okay, so let's move on. Okay. So, para hindi ka ma-confused sa mga valves nga na, we have here, I have here a, nanong tawag sinigani shortcut. Shortcut. Basta left atrium to left ventricle, that is bicuspid. Lob. Left atrium to left ventricle, bicuspid. Lob. While the right atrium to right ventricle, that is tricuspid, and that is lobrot. Lobrot. Okay, that is lobrot. Depends upon you if you adopt it. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this one. So we have here also the continuation of the heart structures. So we have the second valve, the semilunar valve. So these valves guard the large vessels leaving the ventricles, and it prevents the arterial blood from falling back into the ventricles. Okay, so we have here, let's talk about pulmonary semilunar valves, or in short, it is also called a pulmonary valve. So this valve that lies between the lower right heart chambers, or what we call the right ventricle, and the pulmonary artery. And it is located between the left atrium and the left ventricle. Again, this pulmonary valve are valve that lies between the lower right heart chamber, or what we call the right ventricle, and the pulmonary artery. And it is located between it is located between the left atrium and the ventricle. While this aortic semilunar valve, or the aortic valve, this is between the left ventricle and the aorta. So, mabudlay siya, abi, ikwan, i-drawing, no? Kaya, ako nga drawing, gusto ko tani siya i-drawing, kaso kung i-show ko naman siya, baliskad ang mga letters, so, basi mas nadugangan pagid ang pagka-confuse nyo. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on na lang. Okay, let's continue. Okay, this one. So, the valves between the atria and the ventricles are connected to the inner walls of the heart by a taph tendons. Okay, so this one is a taph tendons. This one. Okay, so each valves again are connected to the inner walls of the heart by a taph tendons. Okay, let's move. So this one. The tendons allow the valves to close and hold the valves flaps in place. So they prevent the valves from flipping up and turning inside and out. So that is the work of the tendons. Again, it allows the valve to close open and hold the valve flaps in place. Okay, that is why nagaprevent siya it backflow o backward flow sang aton nga blood, and that is the work of tendons nga ara sa aton nga valves. Okay, so they prevent the valves from flipping up and turning inside and out. Okay, let's move. Okay, so the valves act like a door. Okay, alagyan, door, alagyan. Kung sa balay, siya ang alagyan, paadto sa sulod, it balay. Okay, kung sa heart naton, siya man ang alagyan. Sang dugo, halin sa one chamber to another chamber of the heart. And that only opens in one direction. Pareho sa pertahan sang mall. Hindi ka pwede mag-agi kung ang pertahan para lang sa enter. Kag kung gusto mo mag-exit, may ara man pertahan nga ara sa exit. Same also with the valve ara sa aton nga heart. So it opens only in one direction and it prevents the backflow of the blood. So this one, as you can see in the picture, this is the door, and is held by someone at a fixed point. Only the arm moves as the door open close. Amo lang ni siya ya ang naga-move, wala na may naga-move nga iban. So when the door close, the arm is fully extended, so the door can only be opened in one direction. Okay, let's move. Okay, this one. The valve acts like a door that opens in one direction. So, in the heart, the tendons holding the valve are like the arm holding the door. Okay, look at this one. One end of each tendon is fixed to the wall of the heart, and so the valve can only open in one direction. Okay, let's move. The heart can pump blood because it is made of muscle. Again, ang heart can pump blood because it is made of muscle. And muscle tissue works by contracting or squeezing and relaxing. That is why ang aton nga heart ga-contract kaga-relax, ga-contract kaga-relax. Okay? Okay, let's move. Okay, this one. So how does the heart pump blood? Paano ang heart mag-pump blood? Okay, listen to this. Okay, all parts of the heart on either side work together in a repeated sequence. Na gani ang aton nga heart is an involuntary contracting. So all parts of the heart on either side work together in a repeated sequence, meaning ang function niya pabalik-balik lang, masulod ang dugo sa right atrium, maato sa left ventricle, so on and so forth, pabalik-balik lang. So the two atria contract and relax, then the two ventricles contract again and relax. So this is how blood moves through the heart and is pumped the lungs and the body. So one complete sequence of contraction and relaxation is what we call heartbeat. Labdab, labdab. So one heartbeat is considered as one complete contraction and relaxation. Okay, let's move. Okay, this one. Let's talk about blood vessels. Ilang makapoy. Okay, blood moves through the circulatory system as it moves through three types of blood vessels. So we have here, three types of blood vessels. We have the arteries, capillaries, and the veins. So when we say arteries, it carry blood away from the heart, while capillaries link arterioles to veins, and veins carry blood towards the heart. Okay, so we will discuss the function in details about these three types of vessels. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, let's continue. Okay, let's talk about arteries. So when we say arteries, this is a large vessels. Okay, malalaki siya. And it carry blood from the heart to tissue bodies. It carry oxygen-rich blood with the exception of pulmonary artery. Again, arteries carries oxygen-rich blood with the exception of pulmonary arteries. Why? Because these pulmonary arteries, this is the only arteries that carries deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to the lungs. Siya ang nag-carry sang deoxygenated blood halin sa aton nga right ventricle pakadto sa lungs for oxygenation pa lang. Okay, so this is a thick walls needed to withstand pressure produced when heart pushes blood to them. So, muna siya ang work sa aton nga arteries. It carries oxygen-rich blood. Okay, so capillaries. So when we say capillaries, this is the smallest blood vessels. Pinakamaliit. Okay, walls are only one cell thick and it is very narrow and it is important for bringing nutrients and oxygen to tissues and absorbing carbon dioxide and other waste products. So that is the work of capillaries. Siya ang bring sa nagadala sa mga important nga nutrients and oxygen sa aton nga tissues and siya man ang nag-absorb sa carbon dioxide kang other nga waste products. That is the work of capillaries. So let's talk about veins. So aton nga veins, once blood has passed through the capillary systems, it must be returned to the heart done by veins. Wait a minute. Okay. So once blood has passed through the capillary systems, it must be returned to the heart. So done by veins. So walls contains connective tissue and smooth muscle, and the largest veins contain the wave valves that keep blood flowing toward heart. So many found near skeletal muscles. So when the muscle contract, blood is forced through the veins. Okay, so that is the work of the veins. Okay. Okay, let's move. Okay, this one. So as you can see, so we have here the artery. Oh wait. So we have here the artery, the veins. So artery, we have the arteriole. Nagagmay na siya dyan yung artery. We have the veins. Meron din tayong maliit, the venule. Okay. So, artery, we have both artery and veins has a, what we call this one. So, this one is an endothelium, smooth muscle, connective tissue. Same here with the other one, endothelium, smooth muscle, and the connective tissue. And this one is what we call the capillary. The very small vessels. Okay, so let's move. Let's continue. Okay, this one. Oh, we have here. This time, we will talk about the great vessels of the heart. What are those great vessels that found in the heart? So we have here first is the superior and inferior vena cava. So the superior and inferior vena cava, these are the one that take oxygenated blood from the body to the right atrium. In short, kung later, i-show ko sa inyo ang pictures where can you find the superior and inferior vena cava. But this one, two great vessels, the superior and the inferior vena cava, dira na sila gasulod, dira ang kumbaga pirtahan, dira naga-enter ang oxygenated blood, deoxygenated blood nga naghalin sa aton nga lawas kag nagapakadto sa ilang nga destinasyon, pinakauna nga chamber, which is the right atrium. So these are the two vessels nga ginaagyan again or ginapasudlan sang dugo halin sa aton nga lawas antes magdiretso sa right atrium. And these are the superior and the inferior vena cava. Okay, we have here the pulmonary trunk. So pulmonary trunk, this give rise to pulmonary arteries. We have here the left and the right pulmonary trunk sa aton nga heart, and it take the oxygenated blood from right ventricle to lungs for oxygen. So this pulmonary trunk, this is a vessels that arises from right ventricle of the heart that extends upward and divides into the right and left pulmonary arteries. And it conveys unaerated blood to the lungs. Okay. It takes deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Okay, siya ang gadala. Gadala. No, upo dito sa pulmonary arteries para maging oxygenated blood ang blood ginadala sa lungs. Okay, so we have here pulmonary veins. So we have also the left and the right pulmonary veins. So these are the one that takes oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium. Kung di oxygenated blood dito, di ba nakadto na ang dugo, gindalanan ni pulmonary trunk, upod sa ning pulmonary arteries, ang deoxygenated blood dito sa lungs. Once the blood in the lungs was already oxygenated, ginakuha ina dito sa pulmonary veins, kaginadala ang dugo pakadto naman sa left atrium. Kadto sa left atrium. In short, it transfer oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart or specific part of the heart in the left atrium. Okay? So let's talk about the aorta. So the aorta, it takes blood away from the left ventricle to the rest of the body. And aorta is the main, take note, aorta is the main artery that carries blood away from the heart to the rest of the body. Okay, siya na itong nagapump sang blood paadto sa aton nga bilog nga lawas. Okay, so let's move. So we have here the cardiac circulation. So we have here the coronary arteries. This is a branch from the base of the aorta and encircle the heart at the junction between the atria and the ventricles. Okay, that is the work of the coronary arteries in cardiac circulation. And the other one, it compressed also the ventricles are contracting and fill when the ventricles are relaxed. Okay, and for cardiac veins, it drained the myocardium into the right atrium. Siya ang nag-drain sa muscles ng heart into the right atrium. So we have here, as I promised, this is the anterior view of our heart together with the other veins and vessels. Okay, we have here, okay, this one. As what I said, the inferior and superior vena cava, dira naga-enter ang dugo from our body antes magkadto sa right atrium. Kumbaga siya ang door, ang balko kagaina. And this the pulmonary trunk, it is a vessels that arises from the right ventricle of the heart that extends upward and divides into the right and left pulmonary arteries, and it conveys unaerated blood to the lungs. Upod sa ilasang sang pulmonary arteries, gadala sila sang blood halin sa left ventricle pakadto sa halin sa right ventricle pakadto sa lungs. Okay, this one, yes, the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery, as what I said, it carries the oxygenated blood from the right ventricles to the lungs together with this pulmonary trunk. Okay, this next here, the pulmonary artery, the right pulmonary artery. We have here the pulmonary veins, transfer the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. The left and the right, and this one is the coronary vessels. Okay, so this is the posterior view. Okay, as you can see. So amo ni sa ang posterior view sang aton nga heart with the vessels nga ara nga present sa aton nga heart. Okay, let's move on. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, this one. Let's go to pathway of circulation. So how blood circulates sa aton nga heart? Paano? Paano siya nag-enter sa heart? Diin siya makadto. Ano ang iya nga una nga kadtuan? Okay, let's talk about this. So, oxygen poor blood or the oxygenated blood draining from the body through the veins into the superior and inferior vena cava. So, as you can see here, ang blood masulod sa inferior vena cava and the superior vena cava and flows to the right atrium. Ang blood na nagsulod sa superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava will flows the right atrium through the tricuspid valve. Again, kundi ato na dito ang blood sa right atrium, makadto ang blood paadto sa right ventricle. Pero maagi siya sa ginatawag nga tricuspid valve. So maagi siya sa tricuspid valve and into the right ventricle. Uulitin ko po. Oxygen poor blood draining from the body through the veins will enter the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. Then it flows to the right atrium. Then through the tricuspid valve, paagi sa tricuspid valve, maalagyan, maadto ang dugo to the right ventricle. Okay, so what happens next? Okay, this one. Okay, kundi ato na to. Nag-agi na sa superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, nag-adto sa right atrium, then nag-adto sa right ventricle, paagi sa tricuspid valve. So, as the right ventricle contracts, kung nag-contract na to ang right ventricles, oxygen poor blood passes through the pulmonary valve here, nagapasses sa diri nga valve nga ini, into the pulmonary artery, pakadto sa pulmonary artery, and onto the lungs to receive oxygen. Again, ang blood naman nga naghalin sa right ventricle, maagi siya sa pulmonary valve, then it will go to the pulmonary artery, and ang pulmonary artery siya ang mag-carry sang blood paadto sa aton nga lungs for oxygenation. Okay, so what happens next? Let's continue. Okay, this one. Okay, wait a minute. Alright. Okay, so the oxygen blood from the lungs, kundi ato na to ang blood sa lungs, it will enters the heart through the pulmonary veins. Kundi ato na dito, ari-abi aton nga lungs. Okay, this is aton nga lungs. Ang dugo nga nagkadto dito sa aton nga lungs, di ba hindi pa to kagay na oxygenated, nagkadto sa lungs para maging oxygenated blood na siya. Once it is already oxygenated, ma-enter naman ang blood through the pulmonary veins. Okay, ang pulmonary veins siya ang mahatod naman it blood pabalik sa heart, and those blood is already oxygenated blood, and it will go to the left atrium. It will go to the left atrium. Then the mitral valve, ini siya nga valve, alagyan niya pakadto sa left ventricle. Ang dugo nga ara sa left atrium maagi sa mitral valve pakadto sa left ventricle. So contraction of the left ventricle forces blood through the aortic valve. Okay, kung nagka-contract, ang blood na nagka-contract nagakadto sa aortic valve into the aorta, nagapasaka, pakadto sa aorta. Then various arteries that present in the aorta branch off to supply blood to all parts of the body. Then, that is the complete sequence and what we called, natawag nato na siyang heartbeat. Once ma-heartbeat naman liwat, another naman dayon nga passage or circulation sang dugo. Ma-start na naman masulod na naman sa inferior vena cava, makadto naman sa dugo, ang dugo sa right atrium, then through the tricuspid valve, makadto sa right ventricle, then right ventricle will contract, So with the help of the pulmonary valve nga alagyan, maadto siya sa pulmonary artery, then ang pulmonary artery will bring the blood to the lungs for oxygenation naman. Then after the oxygenized na ang blood, masulod naman sa pulmonary veins. Then pulmonary veins will bring the blood into the left atrium. Then maagi naman siya sa mitral valve, masulod na naman siya sa left ventricle. Left ventricle will contract. Then makadto ang dugo sa aortic valve. Then aortic valve will alagyan naman na siya sa dugo pakadto sa aorta, and aorta will carry all the oxygenated blood to the rest of our body. And that is the complete one sequence of the circulation inside the heart. Okay? So let's move on. Okay, this one. So we have here the pathway of circulation. We have the arteries, branch into smaller and smaller vessels called arterioles. Yung pinakamaliit na arteries is what we called arterioles. And they eventually become capillaries, which supply blood to all parts of the body. So capillaries merge into venules, which join into veins and carry blood back to the heart. For the pathway of circulations, this one, the right side of the heart, the oxygenated blood flows into the heart from vena cava. So we have here, so this is just a summary of what I discussed earlier about the pathway of circulation. Again, the oxygenated blood flows into heart from vena cava, superior and the inferior vena cava, to the right atrium. Then maagi siya sa tricuspid valve. It will go to the right ventricle. Then through the pulmonary semilunar valve, it will go to the pulmonary artery. Then pulmonary artery will bring the oxygenated blood to the heart to make it an oxygen-rich blood. Then after that, ayan, ando na sa lungs. Magpipick up na siya ng oxygen. Then, from the left side of the heart, papasok na doon si oxygenated blood through the pulmonary veins. So, si pulmonary veins ang mapasulod sang oxygenated blood sa aton nga heart. Then, pupunta siya sa left atrium. So, through the bicuspid valve, aka mitral valve, it will go to the left ventricle. Then, from left ventricle, because nagko-contract siya, it will go to the aortic semilunar valve. Then, it will go to the aorta, and the aorta to the body parts. It will distribute to the different parts of the body by different branch of arteries. Okay, let's move. This one. We have here the, wait a minute. Okay, so control. Wait a minute. Okay, this one. The control of the heart contraction. So, general info about cardiac muscle. We have here the cardiac muscle cells contract spontaneously and independently even if all nervous connections are cut. Okay, so muscle cells in different areas of the heart have also different rhythms. Meron siyang rhythms. We have the arterial cells contract at a faster rate than a ventricular cells. And an intrinsic control system regulates the activity. So for the intrinsic control system, or the intrinsic conduction system, so we have here four intrinsic conduction system. We have the sinoatrial node, the SA node. Hi, kapoy man na. Atrioventricular node or the AV node and the bundle of His and the Purkinje fibers. For the sinoatrial node or the SA node, the pacemaker of the heart, it is the pacemaker of the heart. It is located at the right atrium, and SA node sends out electrical impulse spread over the atria and making them contract. Impulse travels to AV node. And for the atrioventricular node or the AV node, this is a conducting cells between the atria and the ventricles. And it carries impulse to the bundle of His. And what is this bundle of His? It is a conducting fiber in the septum. And as I said, septum, siya yung nagse-separate ng mga chambers ng heart. and it is divided into left and the right sides of the heart. It divides into the right and left branches to a network of branches in ventricles, or what we call the Purkinje fibers. Let's move. Impulse shots along Purkinje fibers causing ventricles to contract. So because of this Purkinje fibers, siya yung dahilan kung bakit yung ventricles natin ay nagko-contract. Okay? Let's move on. Okay, let's talk about electrocardiogram. Okay, so what is this EKG, or what we call nowadays as ECG? So when a humans had experienced something with regards to their heart rhythm, palpitations, chest pain, and everything about their heart, difficulty of breathing, something like that. So the doctor always request for an ECG for the patients. So this device is used to record the electrical activity of the heart. Okay? So, malalaman ng ECG or ng electrocardiogram if there is an irregular electrical activity yung heart ng isang tao. Okay? Okay. So, we have here systole. So, systole is called for the contraction phase of the heart, and diastole is the relaxation phase. For the baseline of EKG is flat line. So P is the atrial contraction, the QRS ventricular contraction, and the letter T, which is the ventricular relaxation. So this one is the baseline of EKG. Okay, for blood pressure, so the heart produces pressure, right, as it contracts. So the force of blood on the wall of the arteries is known as blood pressure. So blood pressure decreases as the heart relaxes, but the rest of the circulatory system is still under pressure. Okay. So when blood pressure is taken by someone or by doctor or by anyone else sa iyong dito. Okay. The cuff is wrapped, of course, around the upper portion of the arm and pump with air until blood flow in the artery is blocked. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. As the pressure in the cuffs relax, two numbers are recorded. That is why kung magpapa-blood pressure kayo, hambalon sa doctor or someone else, oh, your blood pressure is 150/100. So the pressure of the cups is relaxed, two numbers is recorded. So we have the systolic pressure. This is the first number taken, is the force felt in the arteries when the ventricles contract. Again, systolic pressure when your ventricles is being contract, and the diastolic pressure, this is the second number, this is the force of the blood on the arteries when the ventricular relax. Muna gani kung magkuha kamot BP, ginhambal nila ang una nga pitik nga madako, that is the first number, the systolic pressure, and the last beat nga mabatian mo sa imong stethoscope was the diastolic pressure. Your heart or your ventricle is being relaxed. Okay, let's move. Okay, let's talk about with the blood. So what percent of your body is blood? So we have 8%. 8% of your body is blood. So how much blood do we contain? So on average, 4 to 6 liters. So we contain about a pint of blood for every 15 pounds of body weight. For the composition of blood, so what percent of the blood is cellular? Yes, it's 45%. And what percent of your blood is plasma? It is 55%. Okay, let's move. Okay, for the blood, it is composed of plasma and blood cells. So we have types of blood cells. We have the red blood cells, white blood cells, and the platelets. For the plasma, alam niyo yon? This is a straw colored, and 90% of it is water, and 10% dissolved gases, salt, nutrients, enzymes, hormones, waste, and proteins. Okay, that's one. For the plasma proteins, we have three types: albumins, globulins, and fibrinogen. For the albumins and globulins, transport substance such as fatty acid, hormones, and vitamins. For the fibrinogen, this is responsible for blood's ability to clot. For the red blood cells, we have your most numerous types. It transport oxygen, get colored from hemoglobin, so that is why ang aton nga blood is red. That is because the hemoglobin, and hemoglobin is the red pigment of our blood. It is a disc shape made in red bone marrow and circulate in our body for 120 days. For the white blood cells, alam nyo na to, it guards against infection, it fights parasites, attack the bacteria, and other invading cells. Okay, so numbers of white blood cells increases when the body is fighting. That is why kung na-infection ang tawo na lagnat, the white blood cells sa aton nga lawas was also increases for them to fight against infection. So we have here lymphocytes produce antibodies which fight pathogens and remember them. For the platelets, it is aid the body in clotting. Small fragments stick to edges of broken blood cells and secrete clotting factors to help from clot. Again, platelets, it is aid for body in clotting. Okay, so let's move on. So blood has three main functions. It transport nutrients and other waste products. Nutrients, minerals, in our body. It is also protection because of the white blood cells. Protect against infection, and it is also a temperature regulation. Okay, let's move. Okay, so we will talk about circulatory system in plants, and that is what we call transport system. But I will cut my video, and I will make a separate video about the transport system in plants because I am really tired right now, and I will rest for 1 minute for my next video about the transport system and plants. Okay, so this time bye bye for now, and see you on my next video. Bye bye.